To get us going here today is a man by the name of Arthur Schwartz. He is an author. He is a hypnotist. He dabbles in philosophy. I don't know what else you do. Personal loans, politics, vending machine repair.
All of the above.
Yeah, all the above. But specifically, talking about the mental game of golf, who better than a hypnotist to hopefully help us work around some of the variety of issues that we can face on the golf course. So, Arthur Schwartz, thanks for being on the show today.
Oh, so happy to be here.
I have to say, first off, I am a believer in hypnosis, even though I've only officially done it one time. And I believe there are varying degrees of hypnotic states that we can talk about here today. But the one time I know for a fact for this to be an actual thing in life, I was working in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we took a trip as a radio station, a group of us on staff, down to Carlsbad Caverns. We go to this great Mexican restaurant that night where I have a couple of beers and a big heavy meal, and there's a hypnotist there to kind of entertain. He gets volunteers up, but he says, listen to what I'm saying to these people and allow yourself to just kind of, be caught up in it. And should anybody fall under the spell, for lack of a better word, and you see it next, you just raise your hand. So I was sitting there after this long day and this heavy meal, and I'm already really relaxed. The next thing I know, I am up as part of the quote-unquote show. So I know this to be an actual thing. So for anybody who doesn't believe in hypnosis, what can I say? Some things are true whether you believe them or not.
Well, what you experienced was called stage hypnosis, and what the hypnotist was doing when he was telling, if you see somebody next to you who kind of falls, on the side or whatever, that you raise your hand. And,
yes.
And you were one of those people.
Yes. So
that was a very clever way of siphoning the very suggestible individuals. You see, because in stage hypnosis, the idea is sometimes you have a whole bunch who go on stage, and then he throws the rest out, and then he brings up another bunch, and they give you these little so-called testers. And so the stage hypnotist is working with very, for people who are very suggestible and good subjects for hypnosis, which apparently you are, because that's what actually happened. In the work that I do, it's as a hypnotherapist. I haven't done stage hypnosis. I've done group hypnosis, which is a little bit different. But it's a little bit different because you don't have to be that suggestible. That everyone can go into enough of a state where it's called bypassing the critical editor, which means the suggestion goes in so that you're more easily able to break a bad habit or to see things a little differently or to feel better about yourself or about a particular fear or phobia or, any kind of thing. So in the case of sports hypnosis, which would be sports performance and sports anxiety, we could talk about what the distinction between those two.
Sure.
The suggestions would help alleviate that or help you achieve peak performance. There's various things that go into that.
I would think that somebody who reaches out to you would automatically put themselves in a category of probably more suggestible than not. If they're willing to seek you out and seek the help of a hypnotherapist or a hypnotist, I would think that might put them in the category of, okay, here's somebody that this might work on more so than a complete skeptic who just puts up a wall and says, nope, it's not for me.
Right. Well, Artie, I think you'd be a little surprised in that score because I get many people come in and they say, well, I don't think I'm a good subject. I'm kind of, the classical, not, poor subjects would be lawyers, engineers, paralysis by analysis, the thinking type. But that's a generalization, not necessarily true. I would say this, anyone can not be hypnotized if they so choose. But they're coming to see me because they want to become hypnotized because they want to see some kind of a change. So certainly, if someone really is a skeptic and doesn't believe in it, that's very rare that he or she wouldn't really come. But what happens is people come to me who sometimes don't think they're good subjects, but it's really important to them to solve a particular problem in their lives, whether it's sports or something else. And as long as they are open to it, as long as they can keep an open mind, it works.
All right. Arthur Schwartz, hypnotist, author. He's here with us right now. Let's talk about the two different forms. You mentioned performance anxiety on the golf course. Some people are just terrified of getting up there, whether it's on the first tee, whether it's a tournament that they have to play in. It's akin to stage fright. So how does hypnosis in your office somehow help somebody when they are then out on the golf course days, weeks, months later?
Right. Well, so let's go over that. So performance anxiety, we can have performance anxiety about all kinds of things, can't we?
Sure.
Right? Including sports. Now, basically, I like to put it this way. This is a broadcast station. And let's say you're listening on your radio. Keep using my hand is bumping into the mic here. And there's an electrical storm. And you're listening to the radio, all the static, and you're really getting poor sound, or the TV has snow on it, for broadcast, interference with the radio waves. And so I would call that interference. Hypnosis is really, one way of describing it is very deep concentration and focus that blocks out everything else. So if you're trying to play golf, for example, and you're worried about what your buddy's going to think, or you're worried about because you're going to lose if it's competition, or you're trying too hard because you think you're no good, or you think you've lost your touch. You used to be good, and sometimes, and then they seem to, you lose your touch, right? It happens all the time.
You keep describing me over and over and over again. Yes, okay.
Right. So though I would call that the static, like in the lightning, because what it's doing, it's distracting you from what you really want to be doing. When you're on the golf course and when you're swinging the club, whether it's a chip shot or whether driving the ball, whatever it is, basically your mind sees nothing and it's concerned about nothing and fears nothing. All that it wants to do is to perform.
It almost sounds like organic Adderall. People talk about, using this as a sports performance enhancer because of its laser focus and your ability to block out distractions. I mean, is that the kind of attitude that you're going for in terms of, reaching that state on the golf course?
Well, I mean, it's not a drug, and so it's a drug that have side effects. But I mean, if that drug can reduce anxiety, allow you to focus with not, caring about if your girlfriend is in the stand watching you and you want to impress her or something like that. Right?
Okay.
Anything. Or the pressure can come from without or from within. Ultimately, it's always from within, of course. But it could be worrying about something that people are observing or just trying too hard. So let me give you an old Chinese proverb. You have a turtle walking down the street. And then from the other direction, you have a centipede. And they come up and they meet each other. And they get into this conversation. How are you, Mr. Turtle? Or Mr. Centipede, very nice. How are you? How's the family? So forth and so on. And then the turtle says, Mr. Centipede, it's been on my mind. I just must ask you. I happen to notice that you have 100 legs. How do you know which leg to move first? And then the centipede began to think about it. And oh my gosh, he became really confused. He says, I don't know. He turns on his back and falls into a ditch and can't get out. So that, like I said, even us with our two legs, if you really think about everything when you walk, it wouldn't be natural. You don't think about you holding your body, holding your shoulders, which foot goes first, where your arms are located, people have different strides. You don't think about that. So that's a simple example, but in golf or any kind of sport particularly, when you think about everything you do, when the truth is, in many cases, you really do know how to do it. You might really be a damn good golfer, but you begin to, for some reason, focus on, I'm doing something wrong. I think I've lost my touch. I don't know what's wrong with me. Okay? Then what's happening is you're focusing on what you need to do rather than just doing what you know how to do.
Arthur Schwartz is a hypnotist. He's an author. We're talking about hypnosis and golf today. The Chinese proverb reminds me of a golf hustler's trick that I learned in Las Vegas, which was somebody very, very quietly one day when, we're in the middle of a match where, of course, we're playing for money. And he just said, Hardy, he said, I wonder, do you hold your breath in your backswing? Oh, I don't know. Oh, yeah, I was just wondering. Okay, go ahead. Match on the line, presses on.
Yeah.
All you have to do is think about that one thing, like the centipede, and
Yeah.
it screws you up.
Very
Okay.
clever, yeah.
So there is the blocking out, and which leads to focus, and then there is actual, increasing performance or using hypnosis to actually perform at a higher level. Are there two different things, two different methods at work?
Right. Well, you can clearly see how they interconnect.
Sure.
The influence, but they are distinct. So the anxiety I was talking about, many times people come in with sports anxiety, and we what we do in our sessions, we might generalize it into other areas because it might be symptomatic. If you get anxiety in playing golf or other sports, you might have other forms of social anxiety or what have you, okay, all different kinds of anxiety. So there's an interconnection. However, there is an area which is strictly, designed for peak performance. Because let's say, you can be better than you are, but there's a certain kind of a situation, a certain kind of a stroke, a certain kind of, putting, with all the different variables, and you realize, I'm just not getting there. I know I can do better. And so that is where you can use hypnosis, not to alleviate the anxiety, assuming that the anxiety is not the issue. It's that there's some kind of a block that's preventing him, the player, from falling through. So what we would do there in that particular case, we're making sure the anxiety is all cleared. That's very important. We would talk about what he's doing, or perhaps sometimes knowing what he should be doing, but still doesn't quite do it. Right? Sometimes I do this, but then I just don't do it. I know I should be doing that, but I'm just not doing it. And that rings true. And so what we would do there usually would be a lot of visualization.
Okay.
And which is used in a lot of sports.
It's used on a golf course all the time. You hear about some of the best players in the world visualizing their shot before they take it.
Exactly. Now, the good thing about hypnosis is that the visualization is that much more intense and powerful. Because when you're in a hypnotic state, once again, you're accepting the visualization without interruption or resistance. But also, the visualization itself is likely going to be more intense, because when you're in a good hypnotic state, you're accessing part of the brain which has to do with visualization, just like when you dream. This so vivid, right, on the dream. You can't. If I say think of a picture, of somebody, okay, fine, you got that, but you're not like, it's not like a movie in your head. But when you dream, it's like there. And so with hypnosis, and a deeper form of hypnosis, you can have very, very clear visualizations, or certainly clearer than you would just do without any attempt to be put under hypnotic trance.
Okay. Arthur Schwartz, he's a hypnotist. He's an author. There are three things I think that I could work on with you, like right now. It's like, help me with that.
I've got the hour.
Yeah, yeah. Are you going to bill me? Help me with that.
Right.
That chunking that chip shot. Which is my, my most recent screw up on the golf course. But if I were to come to your office, or anybody listening right now calls you up and says, "Hey, I'm a golfer. I want to use hypnosis to help me with this specific problem." Is that how you work? I mean, is it that simple to get started?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Someone would call me on the phone. I do chat a little bit. I mean, if they're interested in getting to know the person a little bit, 5-10 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
And then they come in, and then we'll talk some more. If people come to my office, I hold relatively long sessions. It's just not, okay, let's hypnotize you. Now, we go into depth, just like we're doing now,
Sure,
and discussing these things, and then we would get to the hypnosis part.
Okay, well, we've already done the first part, so when I come into your office,
bingo,
we can just straight to the dangling the pocket watch and get me under.
Oh, well, we know we can do that, right?
Yeah, very suggestible.
Right. Okay.
Arthur Schwartz, how do people find you? Online, in your office? Where do they go?
All the above. My practice is called Integral Hypnosis, located in Newton. My phone number is 617-964-4800. The website is integralhypnosis.com. And I also have written a book. My other field is philosophy. It's called Ethical Empowerment, Virtue Beyond the Paradigms. So yeah, it's available on Amazon.
Sounds like a grabber.
Many other, yeah, I'm sure.
Page turner.
You got it. I'm sure you can place. I see you right now on your iPhone placing the order. Thank you very much.
I'm such an ass. I don't know. The guy's a guest on my show, and I just goofed on his book. How do you know what, Hardy? You're an awful person. Can you hypnotize me to be nicer?
I wouldn't want to do that.
No, okay, all right, very good. IntegralHypnosis.com.
Correct.
Arthur Schwartz is the man who is kind enough to be here today. Fascinating just getting going here. So let's talk again here during the season because we can get into maybe a little more detail next time.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think this will be a lot of fun. So Arthur, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.